Blogging is one of my all-time favorite personal branding tools. It's actually a great networking tool also. One of the reasons why I love blogging is because blogging allows you to communicate who you are without many constraints. For example, a resume is something that is usually 1 or 2 pages long, and if it gets past 2 pages, then people complain about it, right? Also, in your resume, you're only communicating certain things. There are rules, like you have to begin each bullet point with an action verb, stuff like that. I hate those constraints. When I started putting my resume together, I felt like I was much better and bigger than 2 pages, but that's what my limitation was. In blogging, there isn't a limit. You can have as many blog posts as you want, and really you can have as few blog posts as you want as long as they do the job. With a blog, I'm able to communicate my entire breadth and depth professionally. For example, in a resume, I might only put product management things in that resume if it's for a product management job, and I would leave out other things because it just didn't fit and it wouldn't fit in the 2 pages. Whereas with a blog, I could say, here's the product management category, check that out, and while they're there, they might see my other sections that I had to leave off of the resume. I get to go into a level of breadth and depth in my blog that I really can't go anywhere else. Here are my 4 tips. First, frequency is key. If you blog sporadically, you're not going to keep readers around. Maybe that's not your purpose. Your goal might not be to have a community with regular readers, and that's okay. But if you do want regular readers, make sure you keep your frequency up. Aside from frequency of posting, the other issue that I've seen the most is outdated blog posts. Not that any given post is outdated, but if the most recent post is 2 or 3 years old, it looks like maybe a hobby that you started a long time ago, but then it got boring and nothing came of it, so you just dropped it. I would suggest that you try and blog at least once a month, and honestly, I think that could be okay as long as your blog post is good enough to be a once a month blog post. I would suggest that you keep the blog post professional. This goes back to your personal branding boundaries. If you get hooked on blogging, everything becomes a blog post. If you go to the restaurant and they serve you well, you want to blog about it. If they don't serve you well, you want to blog about it. If the food was good, you want to blog about it. In your mind, everything becomes a blog post. Let me share a personal story. A few years ago, at about 3 o'clock in the morning, our baby threw up in our bed. I wasn't really happy about this. I was tired and I like my sleep. But I got up with my wife, we moved the baby, and we changed the sheets. As I was helping make the bed, my thought was, I am so blogging about this tomorrow. Well, in reality, nobody wants to read about a baby throwing up in my bed at 3 in the morning. So what do you do in those situations? If you can tie that experience or story back into the boundaries of your brand, then go for it. It's okay to teach lessons or show what your breadth and depth is by using personal experiences. One of the most popular posts that I wrote on my blog started out with me having frustrations with my lawnmower. I found a very quick and easy fix to a problem that my lawnmower had that I had neglected for a couple of years. I wrote about it, and the way that I made a message out of it that was consistent with my brand boundaries was that I said sometimes we have problems for a long time, and the fix is really right under our nose and very simple. My point is, keep your blog post professional and within the boundaries, but you can definitely talk about personal stuff as long as you tie it back into those professional boundaries. My blog has been an amazing network tool. In other words, instead of just getting a brand and my messaging out there, I follow up on that. As I followed up on that, I found, created, and empowered evangelists who were able to talk about me and share my things, whether it was a blog post or my company website or my books. Blogging has been one of the most powerful networking things that I've ever done. My final tip is to write bite-sized posts. Blog posts are not articles. They don't have to be long. If you write once a month, then you'll probably want to make those longer. But if you're going to commit to something like once a week, 3 times a week, 5 times a week, Don't overwhelm yourself with big writing projects. These could be simply one paragraph long. The goal there would be to have frequency and consistency without overwhelming you and your readers. Pluralsight has a course on blogging which I encourage you to check out.